Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Going to be talking about Kickstarter today, in particular, why I put my forthcoming book, the NES Omnibus Volume 1, A through L, why I put the book on Kickstarter. As many of you know, the NES Omnibus is going to have a similar format to the SNES Omnibus, my two-volume set on the Super Nintendo. But of course, the NES Omnibus will cover the old 8-bit Nintendo console. Now here is a picture of the cover of the book. It's the NES Omnibus Volume 1 A through L, as you can see. The SNES Omnibus Volume 1 was A through M, but just with the titling of the games, it just worked out that way to divide it into two volumes. Now currently, the NES Omnibus Volume 1 is on Kickstarter. I have kickstarted it, and it's doing extremely well so far. A lot of you guys have already backed it, and I really appreciate that. It is crucial for me moving forward to do this. So let me get briefly before I get to the top 5 reasons I put the book on Kickstarter, I want to talk about Kickstarter. It began in 2009 in Brooklyn, New York, and which just seems kind of crazy because some of these modern technologies, some of these platforms that we use so much, like eBay, has been around since the late 90s. Amazon has been around seemingly forever. YouTube has already been around for over a decade. It seems crazy that these things are so old because they're so modern, they're so current, they're so now, and they're just such a big part of modern society. It's hard to believe that they're already that old. If somebody out there can slow down time for me, I'd really appreciate it. It's just moving way too fast. But anyway, so Kickstarter was started. Their company mission was to help bring creative projects to life. And they are doing that indeed with the NES Omnibus Volume 1. Kickstarter, there's basically 2 reasons to do it. It's to fund a project and to take pre-orders, and it's great for that. So let me get to the top 5 reasons I'm kickstarting the NES Omnibus Volume 1. I mean, this is my 11th book, and it's the first time I've used Kickstarter, so let me tell you why. So number 5. So with my retro gaming books, I don't get an advance from the publisher. So I can work on a book for a year or 2 and not see a cent of it until the book comes out. And even after the book comes out, I don't see any royalties on it for 6 months after that. So Kickstarter is just helping me along the way. You know, I've spent so much time on this book when, you know, I could spend the time, you know, doing things that pay immediately, like articles and other jobs, things of that nature. I've got a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of income revenue streams, but the books take away from that, which is fine. No complaint. I love writing these books. It's super fun. It's super rewarding. But Kickstarter is helping me fund the NES Omnibus along the way. Unlike people like Stephen King and J.K. Rowling who sell these, you know, best-selling or write these best-selling novels, they get these big advances, you know, royalties, not royalties, but book advances. They get money in advance. It's literally called advances. And they get that well before their books are published from the publisher. Doesn't happen with, you know, even though retro gaming is super popular and a big thing, you see Mario and Sonic everywhere, and there's all these mini consoles coming out. And even though retro gaming is mainstream, it's still considered a niche market in the publishing industry, even though there are lots of retro gaming books coming out these days. No advances, at least not for me. So number 4, it is a changing economy. Things are much different for content creators than they were, say, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Creators just don't get as much, you know, you don't get as much, you don't sell as much as you used to because of all the content that's online. Like, let's take musicians, for example. They've had to change the way they do business. You know, a successful record might only sell 20,000 copies, you know, for a popular artist. And that would be really low, even, you know, back in the 90s. You know, and nowadays, 20,000 records can get you on the Billboard Top 10, which is just crazy. Much different today. So musicians have had to change up the way they do business. They're doing Patreon, meet and greets. They're selling much more merchandise. Concert tickets are higher. It's just a changing economy, and that's the same with the publishing industry. You know, I've started a Patreon page. I'm doing YouTube. I'm doing all the different things to diversify because it's just not the way it was done. It's just things are different now, and you know, you have to evolve or die. And as a content creator, that's exactly what I'm doing. So Kickstarter is one aspect of that. And so far it's going great. You know, I've had the NES Omnibus Volume 1 on there for just 3 days, and it's already doing extremely well, and I'm very happy about that. And it's just Kickstarter is just a useful tool for funding a project and taking pre-orders. So that's number 4, a changing economy. Number 3, it's a great way to get perks to you guys, backer bonuses, benefits, rewards, whatever you want to call them. And with the NES Omnibus, when you back the project, you'll get your name in the book, and for certain tiers, you'll get bumper stickers, buttons, bookmarks, certain digital items. And one of the higher tiers, or actually the highest tier, is kind of neat. So I'm going to meet if you back this, there's just 4 slots for this. If you back the highest tier, I will meet you and up to 4 of your family members or friends at a prominent Dallas area video game location. I will meet you guys there, and we will do a guided tour. I will walk you through this place, and I'll discuss the exhibits and talk video game history. We'll play some games together. We'll spend a couple of hours hanging out. That's the top tier. This kind of thing just really wouldn't be feasible or promotable without Kickstarter, so that's great. It's just a fantastic avenue for getting perks and bonuses to people who buy my books. Number 2, just the website itself is awesome. The Kickstarter, currently the NES Omnibus Volume 1 on there. Go take a look, guys. I definitely put a link here to that. Just even if you're not interested in buying the book, just take a look at it. There's a super cool video on there created by my buddy, designer James Pledger. Watch that video. It's just a couple minutes long. It's awesome. The pages look good on the site. The book cover looks great. It's a super convenient website. It's user-friendly. And it's just so much better than anything I could set up on my own website. Now, Kickstarter does take a pretty decent chunk for commission, but hey, it's worth it. It's getting my book out there, and it looks fantastic on the site. So the number 1 reason I'm using Kickstarter, in addition to everything else I've mentioned, it just opens up my books to a whole new market, including the NES Omnibus Volume 1, which is on there right now. And I've got my other books on there as well, just, as part of, the backer rewards, tiers, and everything. And it's just every writer, whether you write fiction or nonfiction, wants to reach new readers. Now, I say every writer. There were some eccentrics like J.D. Salinger, who wrote a book, and then everything else he wrote after that pretty much was just... he kept in storage. Anyway, story for another day. Most writers want their work in the hands of many people as possible, because you write this to get information out there, because you're passionate about a topic and you just want people to read it. And Kickstarter is a great way to reach new readers. Many people, it seems, and it's very obvious, just anecdotally and just in reality, so many people would rather back a Kickstarter project than do a simple pre-order. And you just feel like if you back a Kickstarter project, you just feel like you're part of something, and you're helping bring that project to life, and you're getting all these bonuses, you're getting your name in the book and everything. It's just awesome. Big fan of Kickstarter. So let me know in the comments, have you backed the NES Omnibus Volume 1 on Kickstarter, or anything else? Have you backed a movie or a book or a work of art or anything else on Kickstarter, whether it's gaming related or not? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for backing my book on Kickstarter. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much. You guys have an awesome day.